Yo, what's going on guys? Arekkz here, welcome back to another video for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and in this one we are back once again taking a deeper look at some of the core game mechanics. Earlier today I dropped a beginner's guide for those of you that are diving into the game for the first time, or if you have friends or family that are trying to better understand the mechanics. So if you missed that, you can find it linked down below. But this video is the second part, the intermediate guide, for those of you that want to learn more. Welcome to the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Workshop. If you guys do enjoy this and you do find it helpful, then a like would be super appreciated. And as always, be sure to comment down below and let me know what you guys think, and let me know if there's anything in particular you'd like to learn more about in the following episodes. Also, don't forget that we kicked off another giveaway, the last one for this year, for another Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Nintendo Switch. So if you want to be in with a chance to win that, then be sure to click the link in the description box down below. Now let's get started. First up, let's talk about B reversal. This is a technique that allows you to use your special moves, your B moves, in the opposite direction to where you're facing by inputting an opposing direction quickly after the initial input. For example, by default when you press B, your special will come out where you're facing, which is often what you want, but at times if your opponent jumps over you or you want to fake them out, you can pull off a B reversal. Simply press B, and then immediately after, input the opposite direction. So if you were firing an arrow as Link, for example, you would press and hold B, and then a split second after you press B, input the opposite direction. It is a very quick input, but once you get the timing down, it is also pretty easy to do. This can also be done for your side B attacks, but it requires a little bit more input, since you have to push forward first, then B to pull off the side B, and then directly afterwards, flick the analog stick in the opposite direction to pull off the B reversal. Hop in the training room, practice this a few times back to back, and before you know it, you'll be pulling this off on demand. Moving on from there, we have a concept known as fast fall. Every character in the game can jump and double jump, and some characters can also perform additional jumps, characters like Kirby, Jigglypuff, etc. But what goes up must come down. Different characters have different weights, and following a jump, they fall at different speeds. Some characters have a naturally fast fall speed, meanwhile some others are a bit more slow to hit the ground. And naturally, that window where you're falling, not doing much, is a window where you're potentially vulnerable. This is where fast fall comes in. When you reach the peak of your jump, if you pull down on the analog stick, you will then drop to the ground much quicker than normal. You'll know if you've done this correctly because you'll see a small star appear above your character's head. This indicates that you've pulled it off correctly. It needs to be done as you reach the peak of your jump, not before. Doing it before will see you fall at your usual speed, meanwhile doing it just right will see you drop down fast. This is especially useful if you want to get back down to the ground quickly, so you can then either get out of harm's way or follow up on whatever combo you've set up. Something else new in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is the notion of perfect shield. I mentioned this briefly in the beginner video, but the timing for this is definitely not something that's easy to pull off. Holding R brings up your shield, and by default you use this to protect you from attacks, but if you let go of your shield, just as you're about to be hit, you'll pull off what is known as a perfect shield. Not only does this completely nullify the damage from the attack, but it also gives you a frame advantage over your opponent, effectively giving you a free window to very quickly follow up with an attack. For this, I'd recommend hopping into the training room and setting up the CPU to do a repeated side smash attack, and you can then use this to get your timing down. It's a little bit counterintuitive to begin with, since it's not like a traditional parry in most games, where you pull your shield up just as you're about to be hit. This one is instead the reverse, where you drop your guard just as you're about to be hit. If you're able to master this and pull it off reliably, it's going to give you some incredible opportunities in combat. Since the frame advantage you get from this, I believe it's about 14 frames, is an incredibly valuable tool. Moving on from there to the next point, a technique known as teching. This is a mechanic that allows you to recover quickly if you've been sent flying by an attack. Typically, when you're sent flying, you'll hit the ground, leaving you a little bit vulnerable for a follow-up. But if you're able to tech, you can essentially get back up just before you hit the ground, which is much safer and will allow you to react that much sooner. For this, you want to press the shield button just before you hit the ground. If you do it too early, then it will do nothing. If you do it too late, then you'll still hit the ground. But if you do it just before you hit the ground, you'll right yourself like this, allowing you to get back up quickly and avoid the potentially vulnerable position your opponent is trying to put you in. This is also something that can be done following a stage spike, and it works essentially the same way, but that's something that I'll go into in more detail in the next video. Moving on from there, you have the pivot grab. Grabbing is a core component in this game. Grabs for many characters are good combo starters. It's a way to trump a shield, throw someone off a ledge. It's a pretty useful move that you'll make frequent use of. Different characters have different ranges on their grabs, but one way that you can increase your grab range is using a pivot grab. If you run in one direction and then very quickly tap the opposite direction and grab, you'll spin around, grab behind you, but your grab range is ever so slightly longer than your default range. This can be a good way to fake someone out or spin around and grab them if they're chasing you, or just use this to get that tiny bit of extra distance that you otherwise wouldn't have had. We then have a technique called FOOTSTOOLing. This is essentially doing a Mario on someone's head. When you jump over someone, if you perform your jump on their head, instead of leaping off of thin air like you normally would with a mid-air jump, you'll instead physically jump off the enemy. Doing this doesn't just allow you to jump off of them, but it also puts the enemy into a tumble state. For a brief period, they won't be able to do anything, meaning this can be used strategically. For example, the edge of a stage to put the opponent in a potentially dangerous position, or send them tumbling to their demise. And then finally, the last but arguably most important point is DI, or Directional Influence. This is a mechanic where you can slightly move your character whilst in hit stun, and it can then be used to either get out of combo traps or avoid being killed when a potentially powerful move sends you hurtling towards the edge of the stage. This is something that will take quite a while to practice and even longer to master, but it's something you should really aim to understand early on, since good DI can be the difference between life and death. For the purposes of this video, I'll cover the basics, but this too is a topic we'll likely revisit again in a future episode. In its most basic form, if you're hit by an attack that sends you flying horizontally off the stage, either to the left or to the right, as a general rule of thumb, you essentially want to hold your analog stick in the opposite direction to where you are flying. This will often alter your trajectory just enough to avoid you being killed, unless of course your percentage is super high, in which case it's probably game, set and match anyway. So as an example, if you were sent flying to the left of the stage, you would hold right, or vice versa. However, if you're hit vertically upwards, while you might think you'd just hold directly down on the analog stick, that in actual fact won't save you. For vertical launchers, your DI is a bit more diagonal. What you typically want to do is hold the analog stick down and towards the corner of the screen that you are closest to. So if you are, say, slightly to the right of the stage and your opponent launches you upwards, then you would input down and to the right, or vice versa for the other side. Doing this should then alter your trajectory towards the edge of the stage instead of sending you flying off the top, which will then of course allow you to recover. There is of course more to understand when it comes to DI, and some of it also comes from knowing the angle that your opponent is going to send you flying. But for the purposes of this intermediate guide, if you can begin working these basic concepts into your play, it should at least help you survive that little bit longer, and then once you master this, you'll be set to take it to the next level. So for now, that is it for this video. That is your intermediate guide to some of these Super Smash Bros. Ultimate mechanics. Remember, if you missed the beginner's guide or you want to send it to a friend that's new, you can find it linked down below, but otherwise be sure to keep it locked for much more Smash Bros. Content. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to check out some more awesome stuff from us here at Arekkz Gaming, then you should definitely try to catch TwoSixNine and Paradise Central streaming 6 days a week. You can find a link to the multi-stream in the description box down below. They play a wide range of games, and what's more, we also have the Endgame store. By watching their streams, you earn currency, and you can redeem that currency on the Endgame store for really cool prizes. Those can range from things like games, comics, and figures, all the way up to controllers, capture cards, and even consoles. So definitely drop by and become part of the community. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure you're subscribed and be sure to click on that little bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss our next upload. You can watch more videos by clicking on the options here, but once again, thanks very much for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.